Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP featured guest is a licensed real estate agent who will jump in to help overwhelmed house flippers. She is the vivacious star on HGTV, Fix My Flip, which attracted, listen to this folks, 12.4 million total viewers in its first season. She has sold millions in real estate and completed more than 100 successful flips. And on her show, she meets with struggling flippers to assess their dire mid-reno properties. In each episode, she will bring her expert builder, her sweat equity, and often her own money to get things back on track. Empowered with decades of real estate experience and an impressive track record, she will fix everything from blown budgets and mismanaged schedules to uninspired upgrades and lackluster design. So, she likes to make that big profit. Silhouettes of Success. Let's welcome Paige Turner to the show. Hello, Paige. How are you?
Amber, I am great. And what an amazing introduction. Thank you. I was like, is that me? That's amazing.
It's all you. And that's just like, that's a snippet. We know that. We all know that. Oh my goodness. It is so fabulous to be with you today as you share what I now call a portion of your Silhouette of Success story. So once again, welcome.
Thank you so much, Amber. I'm so blessed to be here.
Can I first go totally off script for a second?
Sure.
Okay. Do we have a special recent celebration that I can acknowledge for you? Happy birthday.
Listen, I think that it's a milestone, and sure, absolutely.
Yay, happy birthday. Wow, that looks so fun. Good for you to celebrate. Love that.
Oh, thank you, Amber. I'm half a century. I just can't believe it.
Hey, just like I said, we're just getting started. Oh my goodness. All right. The stage is all yours here. So let's just dive in. To help illustrate the shaping of your silhouette of success, let's have you share a little bit about your background with the audience.
Well, sure. Well, my name is Paige Turner, and I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, California. However, I did have to make a few pivots. I am a single mom of 3 children. Well, you know what? I guess I'm not anymore because they're adults and I consider them, we're the same age now because they're all super grown. But single mom, 3 kids. I found real estate in 2003 when I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. I was so scared that I was going to be struggling for the rest of my life having 3 kids, probably a little bit before I was ready. 2 of them are twins, so I had a 2-for-1 shot there. And I made my way to Nashville, bought a house that I never thought I could do in Los Angeles, and raised my kids there for 16 years until the last one graduated from college. When she graduated, I said, you know what? I'm going back home because now I can afford LA. I couldn't afford LA with all 3 of you, but now I can.
Oh my goodness. So how did you get into real estate? And I'm going to kind of now, again, go off script, which tends to happen. But what led you to real estate?
Oh, that's a great question. Before I left Los Angeles on my voyage to find peace and tranquility and a better way of living, at that time anyway, I was working for the Irvin Magic Johnson. And I had made my way around his huge corporation, and I found myself in Magic Johnson Development, where he was developing movie theaters in urban neighborhoods. And I was directly under my immediate manager was Ken Lombard, who was the COO of all of Magic Johnson Enterprises. And he told me, he said, you should get your real estate license, because we're going out, we're looking at these different properties. And I was like, I didn't really know what that meant. I was about 27. I wasn't too familiar with real estate then. And I didn't do it in Los Angeles. I started the class, but I was interrupted because I had to, for work, go to Nashville. And I fell in love with Nashville. And everybody said, how you doing? Y'all come back. And I was like, what? Oh my God, people are so nice out here. Like, this is crazy. So I made the move. And then I remembered, without a plan for when I got there, because I had some savings. And I said, well, let me get my feet wet. I only knew 2 people when I got to Nashville. And I remember what Ken said to me. And I said, let me look into real estate. And that was in 2003. So I'd been there a couple of years. And I got my real estate license. And I said, well, this is actually really good. And I had a really good first year, and then second year, then third year. And then now here we are. Amber, I'm talking to you. This is
Oh
crazy.
my gosh, it's always so fascinating to find out the backstories, and then connect the dots to the story. So,
Yeah.
okay, we'll come back to that part in a minute too, especially as you get to tell more about your show and what you're up to. So let's kind of back up a little bit and talk about a day in the life of. So the alarm clock goes off. What does a business or work day, or what does a day in the life look like for you? Are you, as a person, are you more structured? Do you like routine? Are you spontaneous, all over the place? Talk to us a little bit about what works for you.
Oh, no, I'm very structured. If I'm not in my routine, I just fall apart. So I wake up around 6, but usually I wake up before my alarm goes off, and then I jump up. I do my toiletry duties, and then I work out. So I either box or I do my Peloton, or I have recently fallen in love with this mega board of Pilates. And I'm finding myself going there every day. Like, I'm so obsessed with Pilates. And so after Pilates, I come home, then I get dressed again. And then that's when the day starts. And so right now, because we're just like in this mad mode of promoting Fix My Flip, I tend to those duties first. Like talking to you, Amber, like this is my duty. It's 7 in the morning. I got up at 5:30 to get ready for you. And then I interweave that with other duties I have with HGTV, and then also my real estate business, because I really am a real estate broker. And I don't buy and sell as much anymore to clients, but I have a team under me, and I structure their lives for success. And then I start it all over the next day. And then I have dinner. I'm not a big eater anymore. Like, I'm kind of sick of food, but I find something to nourish my body. And then, of course, prayer is always in there. And I start the next day.
I like how you talked about nourishing your body, and then you went directly into prayer. Interesting. Nourish the
Yeah.
soul. Nourish.
Yes. Yes, I have
Interesting.
to get it in. And it's not always in the morning, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, because life does happen, and like life happened this morning on the call, right? So just, with my connection. And you have to leave
Yeah.
room for life and for pivots. And
Yeah.
so if it doesn't happen, it happens every day. It's just, I'm not that structured where, oh my gosh, I missed, my 7:01 a.m., appointment with Paige myself. So, but yes, it's very important to my life. Very important.
Have you found, in talking just about that morsel right now with just what we went through, there's room for more grace and less rigid scheduling, and just I guess maybe temperament sometimes. I don't know. What, are you vibing that?
Amber, that was my entire word for 2020 and even up until now. So what I didn't say, and I should have said, was, if I miss, part of my structured life, that's where the grace comes in. That's where, all right, Paige, it's okay. Take a breath. Like, you've done a lot, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just put in perspective all that you're doing and give yourself grace. Because sometimes we're so focused on giving other people grace all the time. We're kind of taught to do that grace, 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 that we don't give ourselves grace. And that's what I've been learning since 2020, is giving myself grace. And I've never given myself grace until the pandemic in 2020.
Well, I don't know that we had time. right? Because just hearing the portion of your story, you were in. I have a survival mode, during that time with me, single mom and daughter. But there's
Mm.
almost that mode to where you're like, I got to get it done. So I don't know that we were allowed to give ourselves grace sometimes.
No, no, you're right, especially as a single mom, it was sink or swim
Yeah,
every single day.
yeah, right, right. So it's
Especially as an entrepreneur, I had better years than, other years. It
yeah,
wasn't all, gravy, right? It was
right,
like we hit a recession and I made several million dollars during the recession, total blessing, but not at the beginning. I didn't know what was happening in 2007 when the first housing market crash happened.
yes,
Well, the only one that I've been part of. And I didn't know what was happening those first years. I filed bankruptcy. I mean, I'm very, very transparent with my journey. And I had to give back my brand new Cadillac Escalade so I could keep my house where my kids were housed. It was a mess. And I didn't have time. I didn't even know that you could give yourself grace because I was like, if I stop for 1 minute, we will all like spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and maybe physically die because we'll
yeah.
be hungry.
Because we'll be hungry. Oh, yeah. Well, we can giggle, but yeah, there's so much truth behind that. Oh my gosh. So talking through, you shared a little bit about how you went in with Ken's help and guidance, or suggestion to get the real estate license. Um, who influenced you as you work through learning to be a real estate agent? Because again, independent broker myself and grew up in the industry, I get it. There's not a roadmap.
No.
There just isn't. So who influenced you and helped you along that way?
And there's also not many people to help you in real estate,
Hmm. True.
because I think that real estate, as a realtor, you're such an island. And I think that there's so many people worried about you're going to take my deal when there's so much real estate to sell that I couldn't sell it on my own anyway. And I realized I didn't get any help. I
Uh-huh.
had zero help in real estate. I had to literally figure it out myself.
It's an interesting dynamic sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, which is
Mm.
why I am so gung ho. And I help anybody who has a real estate question. I don't care what brokerage you're at. I don't care. I don't care. Like, I will help you. Like, because I didn't have any help. I had a pseudo mentor whom I loved, but when I went to start my own brokerage that I owned for 15 years, she was very negative Nancy on why would you do that? Just stay here because I was a top agent. So I understood
Uh-huh.
that part.
Yeah.
It's like you also have to let people fly and find their own journey and their own path. And chances were I would have ended up right back with her. But when she, kind of turned her cheek to me, I was like, well, now I really have to go and prove you wrong because I'm super competitive. So,
Right, right, right. Tell me no. One more time.
okay, well, here I
Oh
go.
my goodness. So talking through, because again, you've got a lot going on, and we're going to dive into more of what you're doing with Fix My Flip and all that exciting activity fluttering around that. When you get stuck or you need motivation to maybe reach a milestone goal or dream, how do you break down that assumed or presumed barrier between you and whatever is maybe just just a touch away from what you're trying to, what works for you?
Oh, Amber, that's so good. Well, a stuck mind does nothing.
Mm,
And you will look up and it'll be days, weeks, months, maybe even years have passed by and you haven't gone back to your purpose, to your calling, to your vision, to your dreams, right?
mm,
And I'm very cognizant of that because I've been in a stuck place for more than a few days, for months or maybe even a year or so. And what I've learned is I see the signs immediately. And usually when I get stuck, it's because there's a fear barrier there. And there's something that might be too big that I'm supposed to do that my mind can't get past, but my God can.
mhm.
And I've learned now that when I get into that stuck place, or no, no, even I actually haven't been in a stuck place for a while because I see it coming. I'm like, okay, let me all my alarms start going off. Like, all right, it's either starting with my self care, exercise first, and also what I'm putting into my body and into my spirit. So, what am I watching? What am I doing? Is it too much Instagramming, right? There's something that is making me have this fear space, which also comes from feeling either bouts of inadequacy or intimidation which could not even be a person. It could just be a situation like, oh, you know, that what is it called, Amber? Imposter syndrome. Thank you. And
Yes, yes.
so
I didn't I didn't wanna talk over you, but I was like, I think this is where we're headed. Yes. Oh,
so I recognize, I can recognize now which is the barrier, and then I have to create the plan of attack to get through it.
yeah.
Whether that's shutting down the noise, something's distracting me, somebody's speaking into me, whether it's I'm cognizant of it or not. Sometimes people are slick with what they say to you, and it sticks. So you have to be careful of what's coming in, and then also what I'm speaking and what I'm doing to myself out. Does that make sense?
All makes sense. It all makes sense. It's always absolutely, eye-opening to hear that from somebody else's perspective. So you're sharing it. I can relate to it, but I have like 8 little power words that you use that help me now see it differently for myself, right? So you just
Hmm.
shared what works for you, and as you were talking that through, and so much of that is why we tune in, our audience tunes in, because the words that you used might not have been words that somebody else used, but yet it resonated. You know what I mean? So that was
Mhm.
fantastic. That was fantastic talking through that. So thank you. Um,
Good, good.
when you maybe find yourself in both what you're doing, on the TV and on the project and then real estate and then your team. You mentioned you've got a team at your brokerage, and so clearly we know that there's times that you need to recharge and rest your mindset after an exhausting situation or emotional
Yeah.
situation. What works for you? You mentioned some great routines early on, but is there something that you just like your go-to to recharge?
Yes, sometimes I have to shut down, whether that's a couple of hours or a half day or even a whole day. So some of my go-tos, and again, thinking of grace, yes, prayer life is big for me. Yes, reading, whether I'm a huge Tony Robbins junkie. So whether it's a Tony Robbins or whether, it's just finding some scripture that that resonates, with me, I go straight there. Sometimes, Amber, I just shut down, I close my blinds, and I'll just watch a good old rom-com. Like, let me just have a little bit of fun, just watch something that's funny, nothing dramatic, because that also can lend to going into deeper, darker spaces, right? So
Yeah,
you want something funny, because I think laughter, it's a scripture, is medicine for your soul. So when you start laughing and when you get up and change your physicality, whether that's going for a walk, going for a hike, going to Pilates, you have to get your body moving to jumpstart your brain. That's when your brain starts working like, oh, if the body's moving, the brain has to work with the body, right? And so if one is stuck and you're physically stuck and you're just in this sunken place, then your brain's going to just sit right there with you. But once you start physically moving and get out and start breathing again, then it's like, okay, come on, girl. Now we're coming back. Now we're coming back. You know?
yeah. Love that. What positive adjustments have you made in your life or environment to help support you on this path of growth, dreams, and goal achieving?
Hmm.
Mhm. You like that one?
I do. I put myself in pretty places.
Oh,
So where I live in Los Angeles, I live for the first time. I live in a high-rise condo, right? Because I've had a house. I've owned a house for 20 years, and so when I came back to LA, I said, and because I'm an empty nester, I was like, there's a certain way I want to live, but there's also certain things I want to see every day that will lend to my recharge,
mm,
daily recharge. Because especially since the pandemic, we have learned that, we have to keep going every day, right? And because we don't know what's going to happen, and so I surround myself with pretty things. I see from my window the Hollywood sign, the observatory. There's certain paths that I walk, when I go hiking, and I just have to make sure that that's what I'm surrounded by beauty and the people. And I've lost some friends along the way. I think we all have, Amber, right? And
yes.
I have to have people that are beautiful, like soul wise, around me, because they hold my ladder and I hold theirs, right? You can't climb a ladder by yourself, because if you go too high, the ladder will. There's no stability at the bottom. And you have to make sure that you have people around you that will hold your ladder as you continue to climb and reach the goals. I don't say I chase dreams. I always say I catch dreams and catch the great dreams and reach the goals that you're looking for on this climb of life. So I make sure I have beautiful people who are willing to hold my ladder, because people say that they want to hold your ladder and want to see you shine, but they really don't, right?
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you have those people around that really do. And the only way to test that is that if you have people holding your ladder, but you have people around you who don't have a ladder to hold because they're not striving for much more than where they are in life,
Hmm.
you have to check that temperature sometimes.
Yeah, those circles tend to morph, don't they?
Yeah.
Depending on where you're headed, what you're doing, those things, those circles do tend to change, and that's good. It's evolution, right? You're
It is
growing.
good.
You're growing. I love that. All right, my lady, we want to let you showcase. We got to talk about your show. Fix my flip.
Oh,
Come
but I
on
love these
along. Yeah,
questions.
let's
But Amber,
let's
I
talk
love it.
about.
I love this.
Yeah, we got to talk about the journey into how, if you want to go back and tell the audience how you got into doing the show, if you want to talk about what's going on now, what's happening, let's talk about it. What's some fun, treasured milestones and accolades that you want to share with us?
Okay, remember I mentioned about the stuck place, and stuck mind does nothing, like, and the body will follow. And I remember I wanted to be on television before, but I found myself being a mom, and several opportunities had come to me over the years of momming, and I said no and passed on them, but I let myself think it was because it was my kids, but I could have done it. I just didn't want to because of fear. Well, when they all went to college, I thought, being an empty nester, are you an empty nester, Amber?
Not yet.
Probably not. Okay. Well, it's a transition that is something else emotionally. And I was like, whoa, I didn't expect this. I thought I was going to be excited that, oh my God, I have my chapter 2 back, right? But that's not what happened. I got really sad. And so remember, I understood the signs even back then of being in a stuck place. I was like, all right, I can't be stuck in this rut. So I have to do something. And when I have to do something, Amber, I have to do something big. I have to do something that I don't even believe I can do myself. And so I said, I want to be on TV. Now, how in the world am I going to do that? And so I happened to see, I'm big on like law of attraction as well. And I said, I happened to see this email. When you're a realtor, you have these different associations that you're part of. I
Mhm.
saw this, just had nothing to do with, I don't even know why they posted it. Well, I guess because it was a realtor association. And it said that HGV was looking for couples for a new HGV show. So I thought it was literally HGV posting this on this association website, which in hindsight, I'm like, it would never happen. So, but I didn't know. What it really was a production company looking to produce new shows for HGTV. So, but they were looking for the HGV formula at that time. This is back in 2016, which was at the time, it was the husband is the contractor, the wife is the designer. And it said married. I was like, oh my gosh, anywhere in the country. I was like, I don't know anybody. I racked my head all night. Like, oh my God, I have to know somebody because this is so cool. Like, I wanted to see somebody else win. And then in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock in the morning, I kid you not, Amber, I said, that's not what they're looking for. I'm about to rewrite what HGTV's normal formula is. And I woke up in the middle of the night. Now, I had this ex boyfriend who I could not stand. I loved him, but we were not good together. However, we were good in business together. He was a real life general contractor building homes, and I was a real life realtor. And we were still building and selling houses together and flipping together. So I rewrote what they were looking for, and I called it flipping X's. And
Mm.
I said, this, what we do is I sent in, he didn't even know. I did a bio on him, which he didn't even have. He used to play football. So I just pulled some things together from the internet, found some pictures of him playing football, put us together. The production company called me the next day and said, are you guys real? We want to come out and meet you. So we did we didn't have Zooms at that time. We had, what was the other one?
Skype.
Yes, we had Skype. We Skyped a few times, and then they came out and did a sizzle reel, and then they shopped it to HGV. HGV said, "We like it. Let's give them a pilot." So all of it came from the first show I was on, Flipper Flop in Nashville. It all came from an email. for me moving past my fear. I said, I'm just going to do it, because if I don't, somebody else will. And I'll be like, wow, I had that idea too. Because listen, I'm a firm believer that if God gives you an idea and you don't move on it, he's going to drop it into somebody else's spirit and they will move on it and you will be mad.
Oh
So
my
I've had it happen so many times in my life that I said, it's not going to happen this time. And I did it. And I sent an email and I got a show. Crazy. Just like that. No experience except for my real life experience in real estate. And that was it. That's how I sent an email.
She says it so softly. I sent an email. Oh my gosh, that is so crazy. But you acted on it. When that 1
That was
a.m.,
a
you took action and you believed enough and you took action. You did it.
And that's exactly where I was going with that. The thing is that my hashtag is always two things. Number one, do the work. You have to do the work. You have to
Mhm,
do the work scared. You have to do the work tired. You have to do the work crying. You have to do the work angry. You have to do the work.
mhm.
And then number two, I always say that God moves with movers. When you're stuck, you're stuck. But when you're moving, then here comes God showing up, opening doors, and that you can walk through, or telling you what to do, guiding you, whatever your belief is, whatever God you believe in, whatever higher source you believe in, it moves. I don't care if you believe in wind. Wind
Yeah,
moves.
yeah.
So you have to move.
Energy, the energy. Wow. Love that. Okay, my lady, I'm watching the clock. And so I want to make sure and squeeze in a couple more. Is that okay?
I'm here with you, Amber,
Okay,
wherever
awesome.
you need to be.
All right. So sometimes, and this might be a two-part question, and you've talked about a lot of great things and opportunities and maybe challenges. Is there ever one specific point in time, event, or key situation in your professional life that really forced you to take that monumental shift within your business or career path? Um, with that result, positive or painful, how did going through that help you grow?
Wow. Well, the recession, I mean, it was sink or swim. Like,
Yeah.
I had to figure it out. And I remember, you know, um, the last job I had was in 1999 with Magic Johnson, and then I became a realtor. And so I was at that point, I think 4 or 5 years in business for myself. And I said, Mom, what am I supposed to do? And she was like, well, one thing I know you can't do is get a 9 to 5 because of my personality. She said, you'll get fired before you even start. So you have to figure this out. She said, I don't know what you're going to do, but I know that there's more ways to make money in real estate than just one. So go figure it out. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I thought she was going to say, yeah, just go get a job,
Ah,
but she didn't. So she forced my hand and made me go deeper. And as a result of that, I mean, during the recession, I made a lot of money, when people didn't. And it was really a sad place where people lost their homes and lost their jobs. And here I was, because I did a hardcore pivot and found a different way in my
yeah.
same passion. I just
Mm,
found a different way. And because of that, again, I'm here and I get to, I'm so blessed to get to be here to speak to you about life and about how life happens. And so I remember those times where I had to make those hard pivots and changes, like leaving Los Angeles. I'm an LA girl, Amber. LA, true and true all day, like LA girl, beach, hiking, the whole nine. And for
uh-huh.
me to have to pivot and say, I have to find a better life for my kids, I was terrified because I literally only knew two people in Nashville. And you have to do the scary things. I mean, worst case, you go back home. I mean, I don't even believe in worst cases, but if you have to pivot, do another 180, and it's okay. I think us, this, just our society has scared us into thinking that failure is this big, horrible thing that you can't come back from, where actually it's not. Trying is the big horrible thing that you can't come back from, because you can't even get to it to get back from it. So you have to try. And in those really dark times, like in the recession, in the pandemic, where I had a TV show one minute and I didn't the next minute, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, what just happened? I remember those times, and I remember how I got through them
Mm.
all the time. And I'm so grateful every single day. I'm so grateful that I think we have brilliant minds that we don't tap into enough. And I just remember, Paige, think. And that's how you think and grow and move and get to your next destination.
And you acted on it.
And I
Love
always
that.
act.
Wow.
I acted
Oh
on
my
it.
gosh. Paige, we're going to take a quick break to hear from this episode's sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Beauty is not limited to our outside appearance. It's inside us. It's our professional lives and our personal passions. It's in our health and wellness, our families, friends, and loved ones. Ask Us Beauty Magazine is content designed to educate, empower, and inspire individuals on all things beauty and wellness. We do this by bringing together people of all backgrounds to share their stories, leaving you with inspiration for living your best life. Whether it's through products, services, procedures, and personal brands, we challenge the status quo. Our mission is to change the narrative, allowing each and every one of us to define beauty on our own terms. Visit us today at askusbeautymagazine.com.
All right, milady, we are back. So I have a couple more quick ones to squeeze in. When do you feel the greatest sense of satisfaction?
Oh, I don't think I've ever been asked this question before. What is my greatest satisfaction? Well, there's a couple, but the main one is that when I see somebody who I've been able to assist and grow, and they're like, wow, and they say thank you, and I'm like, that's like, oh my gosh, because sometimes I'm like, I remember way back when it's like I've always had a servant's heart, and I'm like, I just want to help people, but what's my platform? What's my voice? And now that my platform has shifted, and it's like, wow, and people say thank you, and when I get these messages on Instagram, like, you know, I've just been so down, or I don't have any strength to go on. It's overwhelming emotionally, but there is a sense of, oh my gosh, my journey in this life and my purpose is working. Because I'm only here to give back to the next, whether it's one person or however many I can reach. That's what I want to do. And that's what I'm able to do now. Because remember, I said earlier, I didn't have that person to help me. My mother has been my biggest cheerleader in my life, but she's not a businesswoman. She wasn't in real estate. So she cheered me on emotionally and spiritually. But the actual physicality of doing the work, I didn't have that mentor. And so seeing that I'm able to do that now, oh, wow, that brings me great satisfaction. Like, wow.
That's what we
And it
call
makes me want to go even harder to help more people. Yeah.
Goosebumps. You get goosebumps when you think about those things. All the things that you're doing to help. Love that. All right, milady, we talked a little bit about, or you mentioned different resources that power you up. We crave great resources, and as you've talked about, you've got the servant's heart, and you are sharing, and you'll take, and give advice and things of that nature. So, do you have any favorites that you would want to share with us that maybe help inspire, uplift, or expand our minds? And again, I always say this: sometimes get us through the day. Do you have a favorite book or podcast, mentor, influencer, anything you'd want to share with the audience?
Well, sure. I mentioned that I am a Tony Robbins junkie, and I'll tell you why. Because he just gives you easy, no nonsense ways, and this has nothing to do with, well, it is a little bit spiritual, but I like practicality.
Mm-hmm.
When sometimes people just start going too deep and just saying too much, I'm like, it overwhelms my brain. Just tell me how to get from A to B, 1, 2, 3 steps. That's all I need, and that's what I look for. There is a book that I that I love. It's I don't know. I don't know. I don't want anybody to judge me about it, but I take what I can. I take the good from it. It's called 48 Laws of Power, and the other one is called War. Now, I'm a soldier, like in my spirit. I'm like, let's go. We can win. That's the type of leader I am, and I'm not a soft leader at all because I'm not easy on myself, and I like to look for strategy. So I read books that will strengthen my spirit, but also strengthen my strategy in life. Because as a woman in business and as a woman of color in business, I've had to use different strategies that will help me move through the gunk of life that happens. And that's just true. I'm a biracial woman. I am a woman in a business of real estate and in television that strength is required. Mental strength, emotional strength, spiritual strength, physical strength. If I drop on my physical side, then everything else starts to fall apart, which is why I take care of my body and my spirit first. And so those are my my main go-to books and people that if I just need a dip of inspiration, which I need almost every day, I'll just go, read. and pull my strength from then. And then of course, finding podcasts like this podcast. The questions that you've asked, Amber, number one, I haven't been asked before. So thank you for leaning in and going deeper and not just saying so surface, and finding other great, women of strength that I can connect with and be in community with.
It just made me tear up. Thank you. That is so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I honor that. Thank you for that. I think we are on similar paths with just passing the light forward. We didn't get here. I didn't get anywhere on my own. And, the struggle is real and has been real. And that's just the way it has to be. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Unfortunately, right? It is. But like
yeah,
when I had your website, when I first found out that I was going to be graced and blessed to be on your show, and I was like, oh my God, I love it. Oh my God. I was like, Freddie, this is the one. And without
yeah.
even hearing or seeing any of your questions, which I don't require at all, because I like, kind of, going off the cuff like this, because it gives you the real in all of it, right? But I connected so much just reading your website. I was just like, oh, I love this.
Oh, thank
So thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Well, can I give a quick shout out to someone that maybe connected us to?
Yes.
Hello to Sarah.
Sarah!
So
Okay, wait a minute. Now it all makes sense. Okay. The kind of voice that's like, how did you pop up, Amber? Because it's, in the wheelhouse of interviews, right? Of a
right.
TV show. Now it makes sense. No
Uh,
wonder.
yeah. And then a quick
Oh,
quick love to Shari, the website designer. If she made your eyes sparkle, then that's doing the
you
trick
did.
too. And so
Yes,
anyways,
sorry.
oh goodness. All right.
Wow.
Oh, my lady. Okay, I've kept you over time, so I'm gonna wrap this up, but I don't want to, but I know we've got to. So Paige, as we begin to wrap up, it has been so fantastic visiting with you. Keeping the promise to share intentional inspiration with our audience, do you have a favorite piece of key go-to advice that you'd like to pass on? Something maybe that we shared with you that you got posted on the walls or that resonates?
I do. My advice would be do it anyway. I said it earlier. You're never going to be ready. Everything's never going to be perfect. You're never going to have all you need. And I never have when I'm starting a new journey that scares the bejesus out of me. And if you are scared to do it, that means you're probably supposed to. So my advice would be what I gave to myself as a single mom, never received a dollar in child support, which even beyond the money, I just wanted a babysitter sometimes, and I have to just take them for the weekend or even 2 hours, I had three at one time. It was just crazy. And so I had to do things with three babies in tow anyway, just so that I could secure their future of what my vision for them was at that time for us as a nucleus, and then for myself as well. And I had to do it scared. I had to do it tired. I had to do it. You just have to do the work. You have to do the work.
It's your hashtag.
Yeah.
Love it, love it. Full circle, all the way back. All right, my lady, this portion is all about you for you. Where can our audience go to either find and connect with you or support you in your continued success?
Well, thank you. I am on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Paige, Page, Paige Turner Unlimited. And my website is pageturnerunlimited.com.
Awesome. And so, just a reminder to the audience, you know that we will put all of her links in the resource section of the show notes. So she is one click away. So, Paige, it has been amazing and brilliant and just fun visiting with you today. Thank you for taking time to share your Silhouette of Success story. You are a brilliant light and inspiration for us all.
Amber, thank you. I think the exact same thing of you. I mean, like your questions were beautiful. So thank you for having me. I'll come back anytime, on or off the air. I love chatting with you.
All right, groovy. We'll have to do a part two. All right, my lady. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amber.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer Podcast, Silhouettes of Success.